distinguished government leaders, business executives, experts, and other participants. Ni hao. I'm John Casarda, Chairman of the Executive Council of the Center for Aerotropolis and Airport Economy, CAAE, a new think tank established to spearhead Aerotropolis development in Hebei Province. I'm honored to be with you at this forum via video from the U.S. On behalf of CAAE, I'd like to address three issues that I feel are of critical importance to the progress and ultimate success of the Beijing Daxing Airport Economic Zone, both the Daxing and Langfang portions, as well as to the economic future of the Beijing-Tianjin-Hebei region. First, I will argue that even in the face of the current COVID-19 and aviation crises, it is propitious to move from planning to action and from strategy to execution of your airport economic zone plans. This is because any strategy or plan, regardless of how good it might be, is only as valuable as its execution. Second, I'll address the ultimate goal of execution, which is attracting investors to the airport economic zones. This is the fundamental measure that China's leaders and the world will use to assess the progress of the zones. My focus will be on attracting high-end multinational businesses by explaining the primary mechanisms and criteria that they utilize to select locations abroad and how these factors are changing. Third, I will address why implementing the Aerotropolis strategy in your airport economic zones and outward from them is the most effective, comprehensive action to bring high-end business investment to your airport economic zones and beyond. Let me commence by setting the context. Beijing, Langfang, and Hebei have spent years and tens of millions of RMB on industrial targeting plans, conceptual land use plans, and airport economic zone master plans for both the Daxing and Langfang portions. These have been necessary and valuable planning exercises, which I find to be professionally well done. A number of substantial investments have already occurred or been announced based on these plans, which is commendable. But now is the time to take actions that will enhance investment recruitment initiatives through revitalized approaches that I'll discuss in a moment. Some of you, though, may be wondering if now is really the right time to emphasize investment recruitment actions, given the COVID-19 pandemic and its associated sharp global economic downturn, which have collapsed aviation, emptied Beijing Daxing International Airport, PKX, and brought commercial and industrial investment around it and other airports to a near standstill? My answer is an unqualified yes. The combined COVID-19 and economic crises will continue to have an unprecedented impact for the remainder of 2020 and at least well into 2021. Yet, just as was the case with SARS in 2003-04, the Great Recession of 2008-09, and prior health and economic crises, resolutions of the COVID-19 pandemic and the global economic downturn will occur, with China's and worldwide airport passenger and cargo volumes strongly rebounding in the years afterwards to new heights. Consequently, commercial airports and their outlying aviation economic zones, which constitute the Aerotropolis, will resume their 21st century roles as business magnets and metropolitan region economic catalysts. PKX and its surrounding economic zones will play leading roles in this process. I therefore urge you not to be distracted from making important strategic decisions of enduring consequences, such as infrastructure investment or constructing government and commercial complexes based on the current economic, pandemic, and aviation crises, which will pass, but on long-term structural growth trends that aviation, airports, and the Aerotropolis represent. I also urge you not to overreact to commentary from your major trading partners, the EU, Japan, and the US, to reshore their China operations or supply chains. Some of this may well occur. However, the overwhelming advantages of China for foreign direct investment, along with the complexity of global supply chains, of which your nation has become inextricably interwoven, will continue to make China in general and the Beijing-Tianjin-Hebei region in particular leading sites for future foreign firm operations and sourcing. Capturing modern multinational firm operations, though, requires an understanding of how the methods and metrics in their foreign site selection process are changing, and new actions to address these changes. This is especially so for the targeted upscale business sectors your airport economic zones are seeking, such as regional corporate headquarters, international financial services, advanced information and communication systems, cross-border e-commerce, next-generation manufacturing, integrated circuits, biopharmaceuticals, medical devices, and R&D. In the past, multinational firm China location decisions were typically driven by manufacturing cost factors, so the site selection process was relatively straightforward. Companies motivated primarily by production cost reduction compiled long lists of potential locations based on their availability of less expensive manufacturing inputs, such as raw materials, utilities, taxes, and low-skilled workers, along with incentives. These candidates would then be narrowed to the list of those who would make the shortlist through additional operational efficiency criteria, such as transportation access, customized workforce development, and supplier networks. Site visits would then be conducted to meet with economic development and other government officials of these shortlist candidates to evaluate the available sites and operational feasibilities along with incentives. The entire process, including the final location decision, usually took between 1 and 2 years. But as the mix of FDI in China has moved towards more upscale goods and business services, and as growing numbers of international competitors emerged, site selection metrics and models have grown more numerous and advanced. Conventional cost factors persist, yet the addition of an array of new technical, skilled workforce, regulatory, logistics, and in-country market factors have created a much more diverse and complex FDI recruitment environment. Concurrently, global business pressures have accelerated the site selection process, often compressing the entire process from well over a year to under 6 months, which has placed a premium on real-time digital information access and location readiness. As a result, most large multinationals now rely on site selection consultants to facilitate and guide their foreign location decision process, which entails voluminous data acquisition and analyses. Site selection consultants first work with their clients in defining fundamental industry requirements, such as appropriate labor availability, production cost factors, transportation accessibility, and supplier networks. They then quickly shift to criteria specific to the proposed FDI operation. These typically involve more sophisticated and specialized quantitative and qualitative factors utilized by companies for competitive advantage within their industries. Leading site selection consulting firms utilize proprietary decision-making models that run multiple scenarios based on hundreds of location metrics pertinent to both industry and company-specific requirements for analyzing and ranking candidate sites. While these models are tightly held trade secrets of the consulting firms, most models place high weight on extensive, nonstop global air service, both passenger and cargo, efficient surface connectivity to the airport and other key metropolitan nodes, qualified workforce availability from production technicians to R&D scientists, pervasive high-speed internet access, optimized intermodal logistics capabilities, proximity of industry cluster critical supplier networks, integrated R&D centers with innovation commercialization elements, and quality local living, working, learning, and entertainment environments. These factors are converted into metrics with weights and entered into models that differentiate prospective locations that serve as the basis of the consultant's shortlist. That is the smaller set of potential locales from which the finalist site will ultimately be drawn. Site selection consulting firms have grown dramatically during the past 2 decades, along with the size and upscaling of FDI and global value chain networks. While today there are hundreds of site location consultancies, there are only about 30 with significant FDI practices such as Colliers, Conway, Deloitte, Fleur Global Location Strategies, PwC, and the Strategic Development Group, just to name a handful. These global site selection consultants play a disproportionately large role in informing and often directing FDI location decisions. Nearly all consultants rely heavily on internet-based information sources. This often means that the first cut list of candidate locations may be chosen without any contact with local officials, and those locations making the cut may find themselves with little time to prepare for consultants' in-depth information needs for investment-grade analyses that frequently precede site visit delegations. The bottom line is that digitized online content has become critically important in the site selection process, particularly for making the first cut, but frequently afterward. Brochures and videos alone are no longer very effective. Roadshows have limited payoff. Traveling abroad to multinational headquarters to try to convince their executives that you have the right site for them is, at best, a long shot. Rather, it would be far more productive to develop information-rich websites and other online content that document the comparative advantages of your sites over others in Asia and the world on key metrics of each of your targeted industries. It is my understanding that the Beijing and Langfang Airport Economic Zone teams have developed 80 measures to improve investment recruitment and institutional innovation, including 11 measures facilitating development of high-end, high-tech industries. These measures may constitute an excellent starting point to be refined for your websites and other online content. CAAE may be able to assist you with these. You might also consider traveling directly to major site selection consulting firm headquarters to discuss your investment zones with them and their comparative advantages, since these are the organizations that are in touch with the firms who are actually considering locating abroad. Or you might invite a number of leading FDI site selection firms to visit Beijing and Langfang for observations and discussions of your development zones. Along with such specific initiatives to attract multinational firm investment, the overarching action to accomplish this is fully implementing a comprehensive Aerotropolis strategy for the airport economic zones and at least 30 kilometers outward from them under the brand such as PKX Aerotropolis. In brief, a comprehensive Aerotropolis strategy consists of a coordinated set of multimodal infrastructure, commercial real estate, and government policy actions that upgrade airport area urban and employment assets, that reduce ground-based transport times and costs, and that expand national and global air route connectivity to improve business operations, attract talent, boost trade in high-value, time-critical goods and services by making the airport and its outlying areas more globally connected, locally accessible, economically efficient, attractive, and sustainable. The Aerotropolis strategy, properly executed, not only draws high-end business investment to the airport areas, but also drives such investment throughout the broader metropolitan region, moving both up the industrial value chain. It accomplishes this primarily by creating a seamless, multimodal urban pipe that reduces the time-cost frictions of distance locally, nationally, and globally, increasing operational efficiencies of Aerotropolis firms by offering them economies of speed, which have become as important as economies of scale and economies of scope for modern business and industries to compete and prosper. Economies of speed are particularly important to high-value, export-oriented goods and business services firms, since for them, time is not only cost, it is also currency. This is why upwards of 90% of time-critical products and time-sensitive business people move internationally by air, whether they are aerospace components, biomeds, fresh seafood, and semiconductors, or business executives, corporate lawyers, investment bankers, and marketing or media professionals. Locating near or with quick transportation access to a major international airport provides them with valuable temporal advantages that they all seek. Therefore, I recommend that you leverage the advanced industrial and innovative components of the Beijing Daxing Airport Economic Zone by integrating them into a comprehensive PKX Aerotropolis strategy that endows those components with pervasive economies of speed capabilities. Let me explain with some brief examples using selected targeted industries. In air logistics and e-commerce, both foreign and domestic company operations will be enhanced not only by PKX's speedy national and global connectivity, but also by efficient materials handling capabilities of the bonded zones and the improved multimodal transportation infrastructure throughout the greater PKX Aerotropolis. In medical devices and biopharma, A PKX Aerotropolis will attract firms that can produce and quickly distribute high-value medical equipment while efficiently integrating medical research, clinical testing, and innovative production capabilities that enable rapid transition of drug discovery and novel devices from laboratory to market. For semiconductor and integrated circuits industries, a PKX Aerotropolis can combine specialty materials research and engineering design services with scalable advanced manufacturing and supply chain optimization that support rapid prototyping and market responsiveness essential to companies' global competitiveness. For establishing an international financial center within the PKX Airport Economic Zone or nearby, implementing the PKX Aerotropolis strategy will accelerate both global capital access and rapid on-site convening of financial experts and executive officers from distant locations. And finally, for attracting essential talent to all sectors, generating the residential, institutional, and urban amenities that such talent seeks is paramount to the Aerotropolis strategy. The last point highlights an important call for action. That is, to appropriately staff high-end businesses and industries, the PKX Aerotropolis must develop urban realms where well-educated younger Chinese managers and professionals, as well as expat executives and experts, want to live, work, learn, and be entertained. Considerable research and experience show that such talent desires appealing living and social environments, complete with executive housing, quality shopping, fine dining, excellent medical facilities and international schools, 4- and 5-star hotels, and nearby clusters of vibrant nightlife. Efforts should be intensified to develop these urban amenities in or near the airport economic zones and throughout the PKX Aerotropolis. Such amenities are increasingly instrumental to drawing not just upscale businesses and industries and their skilled workforces, but also innovative people who will create China's industries of the future, an outcome central to the latest 5-year plan. I am optimistic that the PKX Aerotropolis can achieve all of the above, making it the true economic heart of the Beijing, Tianjin, Hebei region in the coming decades, while leading China's advancement up the global business and industry value chain. Thank you for your time and attention, and I look forward to again being with many of you in Beijing and Langfang soon. 谢谢。
好，非常感谢卡萨达教授。